one of the top issues in Washington is the immigration deal. Senate negotiators say there is a widespread misinformation about the emerging border package, and I'm just curious: have you read the bill, and are you satisfied with it?
So I have been briefed by many people that are part of this bill, Senator Murphy in particular. And this bill, I should back up, is negotiated by a conservative Republican in Senator Langford, a liberal Democrat in Senator Murphy, and an independent who's kind of in between those two, Senator Sinema. They've come up with a package that not only has funding in it for securing the southern border for manpower and technology, but also has language in it to addressing the asylum issue. The border has been a challenge for several administrations now, and Congress should have acted a long time ago. And I pushed Congress from the Title 42 days to today that we need to step up and do some stuff. I've been down there. I've looked at it. I've talked to the Border Patrol agents. I've seen the technology. Congress really needs to act, and we have an opportunity with this bill that's a bipartisan negotiated bill to take a look at it, take it onto the floor, debate it, amend it, and get it passed and get it to the president's desk. From what I've heard about it, I think it's a very, very good bill that will help Congress and the administration secure that border. And I know that there are some that have said, don't pass it. I think that's unfortunate because they haven't read it and they haven't even talked to the people that I've talked to know what's in it from a policy standpoint. And I think that it's ultimately, Bowen, this is what's wrong with Washington, D.C. When the folks elected back here are working for the Democrats or the Republicans instead of the country, that's a problem. When I talk to Montanans, they tell me the border needs to be secured and in no uncertain terms. In fact, when I came back last weekend, I was said, secure the border. So we have an opportunity to do that. And now the very same people who've been all over the state of Montana talking about how we need to secure the southern border and the system is broken, have an opportunity to fix it and refuse to do it. I think that's unfortunate.
Absolutely. Well, and I was going to bring up your op-ed from last month calling for the Senate to get the bill on the floor
Yep.
for debate. And I assume
it's yeah, no, I feel exactly the way I wrote that editorial, and it's time for people to work together to move this country forward. And the southern border is a big part of this, but also funding for Ukraine, funding for Israel, funding for the Indo-Pacific is all part of this bigger package. And by the way, all those things are really important. And the southern border was a condition put forth for Ukraine funding in the beginning. The Republicans said, you give us secure border funding, we'll give you Ukraine funding. That's really not how it works around here because it affects everybody. But we're to a point now where we have a funding bill and a policy bill for the southern border that I think we ought to pass. And I also think we ought to pass the other things too that are involved in this supplemental package, because if we're going to maintain our position and help democracies move, this is very, very important. So look, a lot of good work's been done, not over the last week, but over the last 2, 3 months, 4 months. And now we're to a point where Congress can act and debate and do their job. And all I'm saying to Congress is do your job, secure the border. That's what my people in Montana want to see.
and I was reading an article that was talking about Democrats in the House voicing opposition to this bill, particularly saying that Senate negotiations leaning too heavily in the favor of Republican priorities. I mean, how do you feel about that?
How I feel about that is we got to get enough votes to get this thing passed. And I think this bill is going to be controversial on both sides, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't pass it. Securing the border is important for everybody, regardless of your political leanings. And look, with any negotiations, you're going to have people that are going to be unhappy. Look, if I'd have written the bill, I may have written it a little different myself. But the bottom line is I'm going to take a look at this, give it a fair shake, debate it on the floor, and vote. And that's really where it's at. And I think if we do our jobs in the greatest deliberative body in the world, it's high time we start deliberating.
Absolutely. And then, many Americans are frustrated with elected officials in Washington. neither side is doing anything to improve society. Instead, some politicians seem to be more focused on power, celebrity, and money. What's your message to Montanans?
Well, all I would say is this. I want to get this done. I think it's good for the country. I think it's necessary for the country to do. I've never been big on being a celebrity and money and power. I just want to do what's right for this country, to keep this country the greatest country that's ever existed on earth. And we happen to live in the greatest state in the greatest country that's ever existed on earth. Don't want to give that up. And so making sure we got a secure border, making sure we're helping our allies that want to be democracies, making sure that we're taking care of what's going on in Indo-Pacific with Xi Jinping is all those are very, very important. And so we ought to do it.